talk to you about MRAI. So they had a public offering IPO on October 27th. I'll show you the news before we look at the chart too carefully. The offering was for 6.25 million shares. So that's basically like a flow, right? Roughly. And then that's not too high. That's kind of low. The offering was at $4 per share for gross proceeds of 25 million before deducting underwriting. This was when did this news come out? So it was at 6:03 p.m. October 26th. So it was the day before. So it didn't start trading until October 27th at 11:30. And then the stock price went from 4.83 all the way down to 3.81. So it jumped initially, but then it fell, and then it created this trend line going down. The breakout over here was a pretty good buy. The only thing is, this is what made me think about linear regression, was that when it broke out, it didn't really create a line greater than a slope. It didn't create a line with a slope greater than 0. It was pretty much flat. Then it fell, and then on this breakout, it created a line with slope greater than 0. So this was more of a true breakout, a true bullish breakout. And then this wasn't a false breakout because it didn't reverse back after, it didn't like revert back after it jumped up. It just kept on running. So these were pretty good buys. And the company is an interesting company. I mean, deep learning technology, this is clearly like a thing of the future. What else? I didn't read pretty much, there wasn't much information to go off of anything else, but there's like, they said, you know, deep learning is advanced form of AI. This is obviously, like forward-looking. This is like, you know, this is a good, it seems like maybe this is ridiculously low because AI is obviously a thing of the future. Okay, so I liked how I thought about slope being greater than 0. And when that came to mind, I was like, what about linear regression? I think linear regression would have helped me determine like the slope as well. So my linear regression script, my indicator, does it show up early? I don't think it would because there's not 100 bars to look at, so I might need to reduce it. So let's look at linear regression for past, let's say instead of 100, we'll use 10, okay? Now I'll hit play. Okay, there you have it. You can see that the slope on the breakout is not too high. It's not greater than 0. So then it starts to squeeze. I didn't think about that, but yeah, there is a squeeze there as well. And then the squeeze generally will pop up or pop down. It starts popping up, so maybe you would want to get in at this $4 level. Another thing is like, IPO was at $4, so anything lower than $4, you're kind of getting a discount. So I would say like these are pretty good buy levels, 3.84ish. Like that's like you're getting a deal practically, unless it fell much further. And yeah, then you can see that the slope just gets higher and higher and higher. Eventually, this reached $7, and you know it's like a typical IPO. Like IPOs can run really fast. You're in charge. Do you want to exit? Yes, I want to exit. Another cool thing I didn't mention was if I rewinded. So this was at 7, okay? Or sorry, not 7. It went to 7 twice. Wow. If I rewind, this is kind of funny. So I mentioned in my last 2 videos, when a stock is trending upwards, you generally want to sell around 20 hits on the upper bands. So here you can see 20 hits on upper bands happens, falls, and then you know, it hugs the lower bands 1, 2, and then it starts to hug the upper bands. It starts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you're at, this is for really hot stocks. I can't say this for everything, you know. I'm trying not to, don't take what I'm saying like as concrete, black and white. It's gonna happen all the time. No, but in this case, and in many cases, you know, upper bands, 20 hits, That's what happens. 20 hits, boom. So I would sell around here, and I would want to get in on these greens. Also, another thing is like you can tell that the stock is hot. It doesn't hug the upper bands more than twice, or the lower bands more than twice, and then it starts reversing. So this was a really bullish sign. I found it like super funny that it's using my rule of thumb twice. So it's lower, it's upper bands 20 times, falls. It's upper band 20 times, falls. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if it did it again, but I won't bother to. Like, I could run it again, but you want to be selling while linear regression is pointing upwards. So the slope of that line of best fit is pointing upwards. Let me rewind it. Upwards, more than 0, greater than. I mean, it did go up further, right? So this was a really nice time to sell. Is there anything more I want to talk about? Not really, not really. This was an exceptional return too. So the price earlier was like 4-ish, and then it jumps all the way up to 7-ish. So, you know, take your profits when you have them. Don't be too greedy, I guess. And then maybe there's an opportunity for a breakout here. It does look like it's following this certain line. It didn't break out though. It broke out more or less over here at 5.67. Let's see if it was worth buying. Not particularly. This is when you want to give this stock a hard time, I guess. So you can see I have a breakout channel breakout indicator, and it's telling me to buy in when it breaks out over here, if it does. So it said to buy over here. Well, you should have. 5.88. Keep hitting play, and then maybe you could sell on this high right over here when RSI is above the threshold that this MACD has created. And also volume was high. If I used Confluence as well, this was another great time to sell as well. Yeah, and like another thing is like don't be too greedy, especially after a great run. Don't be too greedy. And that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. I felt like this is worth looking at. On to the next.